Genesis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. Please stand for our opening song, My Soul is Welcome Here. Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth. And we love that you are here to share that with us. My name is Randy Singer. I'm a practitioner and even a founder of this place. This is my first time doing this. It's going to be awesome. All right, so our online host is Eric. So if you have anything to say on there, just feel free to type it in there and we'll get going on that. Just, if you're new to Genesis and it's your first time, just let us know and we'll be able to comment on that later in the service. So we are going through a beloved ministerial search that's happening in perfect time. So right now, join us in our ministerial sacred covenant prayer. I will do that when I find it. There it is. Hello. I recognize there is one life. This life is God's life. This life is my life now. I am one with this life and all its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for Genesis Center for Spiritual Living as a revelation of God as love. As Ernest Combs says, I dwell in the house of love. Love attends me in my home of the soul. I shall never leave this home of the spirit. I shall abide in this home forevermore. Feeling into this love, I experience my new minister with full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing these powerful truths about myself. I am powerfully expressing divine love, inspiring all to do the same. I am blessing and honoring all paths of spirituality, awakening deeper truths and spiritual growth. I am a place where God shows up, expressing divine love, allowing truth and joy to heal all. I am embracing teaching and exploring spiritual truths from diverse spiritual teachings. I am teaching and embodying prosperity, trusting that God is the source of my good. I I now accept this highest expression of spirit as myself, and I know this expression is now being revealed as the new minister that serves the highest and greatest good for Genesis. I am grateful, we are grateful, and so it is. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Announcements. Terrible death to die. All right, happy Pride Month. Centers for Spiritual Living Communities will be participating in the Seattle Pride March on Sunday, June 25th. That's today, right? All right. Our position is on the 10th block of James and Jefferson, close to 4th Avenue. Parking directions will be provided, call times 12:45, CSL t-shirts will be provided, and a bandana with a color that represents Genesis. A love offering of $15 is appreciated for keys. Reach out to Gideon if you would like to attend. Hopefully, if you want to do that, you're already on it. Today, after service, Reclaiming Joy After Loss, 12 to 1:30. Join Zoom meeting with Cynthia and Diane Dyer in a caring, safe, and supportive environment for this amazing journey in mending your heart. Mark your calendars. Reverend Eric is offering a workshop on Sunday, July 23rd from 11:45 to 1:15 called Spiritual Practices for Better Living. Cost is pay what you will, with all proceeds going to Genesis. This is a fun and fast-paced opportunity to pick up some techniques to bring your head and heart into better alignment. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., join Karen Williams and Cynthia Zink, both practitioners here at Genesis, for Intention Circle via Zoom. Join us to create more miracles in our lives. A love offering is appreciated. Okay, Science of Mind textbook in a year. Practitioner Karen Williams is following a guide to read the entire Science of Mind textbook in 1 year. Every day you will find posted in her Facebook page Karen Williams RSCP and the Genesis family page. So now, this is a fun time to do a little meet and greet. So please stand and take a moment to greet those on either side of you for a few minutes. See through the throngs of giant crowds. All the strangers in the room. Anyone who's brought a guest or is attending for the first time, we'd love to meet you and learn how you heard about Genesis, if that's comfortable for you. Do we have anyone new online? All right. Is there anyone new in the room? Well, it looks like we've got a nice, happy family here. And that's perfect. So, does everyone have a prayer card? Everyone feels good about that? Awesome. Okay, so let's thank some volunteers. I want to thank Reverend Rose for greeting people as they walk in. I'd like to thank Michael and Eric for the projector and the video and online hosting. I would like to thank Soren Jensen for the sound tech and Dave Panic as a service practitioner.
Yay!
Couldn't do it without them. We're together. Powerful crew.
That's right.
All right. So, let's see. Dave is the practitioner, so if you do need prayer after service, he will be available for brief tune-ups. So now, let's stand and sing our centering song, Out Beyond.
Okay, we're going to do just kind of a fake bomb here today. So we didn't have our gong here.
Oh,
Just for our service here. So.
Bong.
Bong.
Bong. Bong.
Ooh, I like that. Maybe we should do that every week. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the audience participation. Well, I am Dave, and I am our centering practitioner today. I am so grateful to be here on this absolutely glorious sunny day today, this day of pride and authenticity and expressing ourselves. What a great day to be here. So today's reading comes from Living the Science of Mind, and it comes from the section, God Talks to the Heart. God does speak to the heart more than to the intellect, and this is why it is often you will find a person who apparently can give no reason for what he believes. He says, I know that God is all there is, and there is nothing else. By some inward childlike faith, his intellect has surrendered to that which is greater than he is, and the miracle takes place. One frequently meets such persons. It seems to the over-intellectual that they are entirely inadequate, and such simplicity might even be rejected as being incapable of fathoming the depths of reality. But their word is powerful because they listen with the heart. Through some unknown avenue which the heart reaches a depth that the intellect can penetrate only mathematically. Of course, it is well to combine the intellect and feeling and use both the head and the heart, for the intellect gives a definite form to the feeling. But unless the feeling is there, the intellect will merely have righted the empty mold. It is interesting to know that the best psychological balance is the balance between the intellect and the emotions, the conscious mind and the feelings. We want not only to feel, but to think. We wish not only to think, but also to feel. Be certain then that all a work you combine the subtle essence with the conscious word you speak until the two become one. As a practitioner, you will put these qualities together until they fuse into one. The head will speak through the heart, and the heart will feel through the intellect. This, we believe, is psychological wholeness. Amen to that. So let's take this time. Just briefly close your eyes, feeling into this divine presence, feeling into this wholeness, feeling into this energy, feeling into this oneness. I just recognize that God is all there is, the divine spirit, that divine energy, that omniscient being, that energy that is completely out there and knows everything and all, and I accept that absolute expression and all-knowingness in each and every single one of us right here today. And I know that as we speak through our heart, as we speak through our intellect, as we speak through ourselves, we are God in form. We are that absolute expression. We are that divine energy. And we know that whether we are he, she, they, the truth of who we are is that we are all we, because we are all one. We are all one with that spiritual being. And I know that, and I can feel that in my heart, and I feel it in my heart. And so it's just taking that truth and that absolute knowingness in. I am just grateful. I am just grateful for today. I am grateful to authentically express myself. I am grateful that we just have an absolute wonderful city that is willing to express truthfully who they are, their divine presence. It just fills my heart. And so with that, I release these words into that absolute great spirit of love that says yes, and yes, to each and every single one of us. I call it good, I call it God, because it truly is always all good, because it truly is, and forever, always, all God. And so it is. And so with that, I'm going to refer to my notes, and I am going to introduce our absolutely wonderful guest artist, our talent today, Cindy Akana and Shane Peck. Thank you so much for being here and blessing us with your presence.
I got tired of being lovers. I got tired of feeling so small. Tired of playing the victim or playing nothing at all. And so I changed.
time for our speaker. We have the wonderful Liz Mirante. I've known her for many years. We've been friends, our families have been friends. She went to the same college as my dad, Pomona in Claremont. The Sage
But later.
No, at the same, different times. But the Sage and pride never wavers.
Good one.
And so after being a minister all over the world, she has returned to her home of the Pacific Northwest, and she is here to speak to us and give us this beautiful message today. So, our friend, Reverend Liz Mirante.
Is that going to screw up that? Okay. All right. And since it's your first time, I don't want to close the book. You'll never find your way again. Okay, is it?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. I trust you. Well, happy Pride, end of Pride Month and Pride Day, and I'm kind of embarrassed, even though I knew this was Pride Month. I was sort of late to the party and gradually thought, I could have just made this talk all about Pride, and I really wish I had, but I didn't. I'm supposedly finishing the theme of head and heart, the journey of wisdom integrating head and heart, but I think Eric did a really great job of that last week. I watched it and went, oh, he talked about how love and intelligence create wisdom and all that stuff. All the, oh, thank you. Someone's telling me to adjust. And so much about the journey of wisdom came out. Was that all stuff you guys had written? Is that his pieces of paper that he read? Was stuff you guys had written? That was very cool. So you know all about the journey of wisdom. I'll just add two things. One is in West Seattle, where I live, there are painted, I don't know what they are, like blocks anyway, painted on a street corner of different rock stars, I think mostly. And I just noticed yesterday that there's one of Jimi Hendrix. And on the side of it, it says, knowledge is talking, wisdom is listening. That's it. Pay attention. So learn this now. Don't be just learning it at 68. No, I knew that. And then the other piece of wisdom I can share with you is it might not be the best idea to start a detox program 3 days before you're going to give a talk, which means you're not doing any caffeine and then you're not doing any sugar. And if you've really been eating really poorly before that, your body lets you know. That is not a disclaimer for this talk. I'm just saying I would not advise that. I would not advise that. So today, what I'm really going to be doing in my own mind, and I hope it translates to you, is kind of summing up some things about head and heart, about mind and love, that have been coming to me. And I think y'all know this, but the spoiler alert is that love trumps. Heart trumps it all. So first, little science of mind review. When we think of mind and heart, we also think in our teaching of the law and love. And Ernest Holmes says he says this right at the beginning of that big Science of Mind textbook. Love points the way, and the law makes the way possible. That it is love, that divine love, that created all of us and those hearts we have, that impels the law. It is the foundation of what we do, and when it isn't the foundation of what we do, we see the difference in our results. Now, the law, I think, is what a lot of us come to Science of Mind to first learn, because it isn't something, we kind of think we've learned about love, And most spiritual teachings teach about love in one form or another. But in a lot of ways, we don't get this idea about what we call the law, or the law of mind in science of mind, till we get here. And the law, which is in the way we teach it, is this facet of God that takes our habitual pattern of thinking and brings it back into our lives. You guys remembering this at all? You're just happy that I don't quiz you. Say, what do you remember? And in some simple terms, our mind, or the law, directs what it is that we want in our lives. That having a mind, knowing about the law, we have intention. We create intention about what we want. And this idea of the law, and that it's important to pay attention to our thinking, whether we're saying, oh, I'm a jerk, oh, I'm nothing, I'm messed up, I'm never going to have what I want in life, versus I deserve, I am lovable, I am whole, I am a unique expression of the one, fabulous just the way I am, that it matters. It makes a difference which way we tend to think. And that as we desire a thing, instead of just going, oh, I hope it happens, we intend it and speak it and use treatment and affirmations. And this is so critical. As was sung in the first song, that's how we get out of being a victim. And in many, or I'll just say Christian because I know that one the best, a lot of the Christian teaching that some of us got as kids were just like, it's all about God, and I just got to surrender to whatever God's going to give me. It doesn't matter what I want, maybe I just shouldn't have this and I should just resign myself. That, no, we co-create with God, so we intend. And I think this teaching really took off, or it was coming into fruition as exhibited by what I'll call the self-help movement, which is EST, LifeSpring, up here in the Northwest, Context Trainings, more recently, Landmark, Wayne Dyer. A lot of the self-help movement worked around with that idea of we use our mind, we use our head to start shifting the way we think to create the lives we want to have. It works. And treatment, or spiritual mind treatment, or affirmative prayer, must have that aspect of mind intelligence creating it. Because I can tell you that having, what we do when we license practitioners is they write a test to make sure they've got all the head knowledge. But the final thing is they have a panel with a combination of practitioners and ministers. And of course, what we have them do is a treatment for a situation. And I have heard quite a few practitioners who do a treatment like, oh, I just know that God is love, and that love is everywhere, and because I feel that love and know that love, and so because of that, I just know everything is perfect. And they go through all and it's great if you wanted a relationship, if that was your issue. But there's other issues we have in life that we need to direct. And simply knowing love doesn't always work with us to fix it. That being said, that the mind has its place so that we know, that we consciously choose, that we figure out what it is that we want. So we're giving the law direction so the law can say yes to something, not just what it thinks we want, then that's important. And there comes a time for many of you I know who've been in this teaching for a long time, there comes a time when you realize that the mind and deciding and affirming isn't handling some of those issues. And it's part of, I think, our further evolution that we have to move, and it's not just me, move from being victims and accepting whatever life has to offer us and thinking if it's not what we like, that we have to just accept it and go with it. We have to move from that victim to really choosing to choose what it is we want. That's an important spiritual step. But even Ernest Holmes said if he had been at the end of his life, that he would have changed the name of the teaching. If you read his early books, it's all about thinking. It's all about changing your mind. Have that positive thing. Think this way, and you will change your life. And that is true, I think, up to a point. He said later, if he had named the teaching toward the end of his life, he would have called it the science of mind and spirit. Because it isn't just up here that's directing the show. And I think when we know that we want to make a shift from seeing mind and the law of mind and focusing on the laws, how we operate, when we are ready to make that shift, I think, is when we start seeing that what we are up to in life is not just having stuff, not just having things go well, except it's important to know that we can shift into those things. But when we realize we are working with the law and the universe is giving us what we desire in many, many ways, when we shift from life is about getting what I want to life is about expressing who I truly am. Life is about me, we could say, being the best me I want to be, but I mean that in the fullest way possible. The truest, realest, authenticest, and I look at Dave because I love his authenticity, the authenticest you, us, we can be. When we start feeling like, that's what I want, and it's okay to want the other stuff, it's important stuff, but when we do that, it seems in my experience that we start moving to look more primarily at love, and I mean love with a capital L, so I mean the big kahuna, the divine one. And how I've kind of found this in my own life, besides having my prayer be, I want to express more God, which means for me, I want to express more love and joy. For each of us, it could be something slightly different, but I think really for each of us, it's love in our own way. As I journey and keep bumping up against stuff, like the same kind of patterns, issues show up in my life. And I've prayed about them, and they don't seem to budge. One of the areas that can be is forgiveness. I'm taking a class in forgiveness right now. And I didn't think that particularly been an issue until she said, you know, a lot of forgiveness is in your mind where you're just judging. Oh, I don't like what that person's wearing. Oh, why are they acting like that? Why don't they go, oh gosh. Forgiveness is hard to do just with your mind. Who knows now forgiveness is a good thing? Yeah. And there are some people, and we know that forgiveness is about us, it's not about them. It doesn't mean that if you forgive them that you're going to forget if they did something really awful and just let them do it to you again. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to ever see them again. You cannot have them in your life. Forgiveness just means that they can travel through your mind without you kind of going, ugh. Well, I find that mostly I do that easily with people, but there's a couple people, and then there's forgiving myself for stuff. And all the intelligence I know, and even like, well, God forgives you. I remember coming up with this one time, well, God forgives you, saying this to a student and thinking, well, yeah, I should be saying this to myself. God forgives you, but you've decided not to forgive you? Oh, you know better than God? Oh, okay then. No, man. If God forgives us, but we don't get it, and we can't get it because we're clinging on to it. And it seems like for certain people and often ourselves, there is a limit to what affirmative prayer, affirmations, and the thinking can do. And we think, God, I can figure this out. Or in relationships, sometimes we just have these patterns that keep coming up, that don't work, that are conflict. Or we keep finding ourselves with the same person in relationship over and over again. And we just think, God, I can figure this out, and I can figure out the thing that I'm going to treat for, and it just keeps not working. That's where the head will only help us so far. And that love, insofar as we connect up to that great heart that is God, has to do the work. Now, the head is important because it is with our mind that we identify, this isn't working, it keeps not working, or I keep doing this again. What's the deal? You know, I want things to be different. I want more harmony in my relationship. I want to let myself finally off the hook for this thing I did when I was young and didn't know better. I want to forgive myself for being unkind, deeply unkind. I want to forgive myself for a stupid relationship I stayed in too long. I want to forgive myself, lots of things. That we, yes, with our head, we see it, we identify it, we make a choice that we want something different. And then when the affirmations and right thinking haven't worked, that's where we need to turn it over to love. And that love, the heart, means opening to God, as I said, to the big love. And that is really the power of treatment to an extent if we really know how to use it. And the fear to faith I talked about the other week, which we'll talk about in a minute. That treatment, when I teach it, I always say treatment's like an affirmation sandwich, because you have those affirmations in the middle. But what is the first step of treatment?
Recognition.
Recognition. And what is recognition? What's the first two words of recognition?
God is.
God is. And why we start that is to get ourselves out of our situation, our condition, and move ourselves as much as possible into realizing the expansive nature of this thing called God that we then know that we are an expression of. Me, in and of myself, cannot do a lot of things. Me, in and of myself, just repeats the same old patterns, repeats the same old thinking about myself. But knowing that there is an infinite presence beyond anything I can believe, beyond anything I can think of or see, beyond all that, and that I am inextricably connected to, that changes everything. We can't just go quick past that part. Okay, God is love, I am love, my relationship is great, thank you. Now that's a simple way to do a treatment, and it's a great way to teach a treatment so people understand the concept, but it is that place of, that's where the shift happens. Many of us have gone to therapists. Many of us know about psychology. That's where this is a spiritual psychology, because it isn't just about figuring it out. Am I the only one in this room that loves to figure things out? And think I can figure it out. I can figure this out. I can figure this out. I just get more information. So the power of treatment is really in those first two steps. Really understanding how huge and expansive and amazing God is. And that each of us is one with that. So therefore, we finally figured out, hey, here's a relevant word. We can download whatever God is and use it in our situation. What is equally powerful and in a slightly different way, and I think simpler, is something we call a fear to faith prayer. And because I know you guys weren't here, and everybody could probably use a review. Fear to faith is where we have to use our mind first, our intelligence, and say, okay, there's this pattern of something's not working. There's a condition in my life I really don't like. What if I really go into what I am afraid is going to happen? What is the word that sort of encapsulates that? If I think of a belief, sometimes it's abandonment, if we've had that. If we were abandoned as a little kid or felt abandoned, then we see a lot of things through that fear of abandonment. A lot of us, almost all of us, have some version of unworthy as something that got into us as a little kid, and it sticks there, and we heal levels of it, and then it pops up again. It sticks up and heals level. Unlovable is another one. So we have these beliefs, just icky, ugly beliefs, and I love that one of my teachers, I think in the old days of metaphysics, they called them error thoughts, because that's what they are. The idea that you're unworthy or unlovable, just not true. So we identify what that kind of core erroneous belief is for this situation, or even like the unworthy kind of bleeds into our lives a lot. My version of that is not enough. For some reason, not enough. Unworthy doesn't hit me, but not enough hits me. You know what I'm saying? And what we do is we usually have strategies that we run around doing to keep that fearful thought at bay or to cover over it. And so for me, when I first learned this, because I knew not enough, what's my false belief, my error belief is not enough. What's my strategy? Well, I run around being charming and fun and getting approval from people. So everybody like me. So as long as I'm doing all this stuff to get everybody to like me, then I don't have to think about it, not enough. Except that what's fueling that is the fear that I'm not enough. It's okay that I'm charming. It's okay for me to enjoy people, but if I am doing this based on the fear of not okay, if I'm louder or trying to be smarter in the room, that's another unfortunate thing of that. If it's coming out of that fear, then the result is never gonna feel great in the world, and I'm not being my full self. I'm being a belief of not enoughness papered over. So we all have strategies that we do for our unworthiness, or for whatever maybe a fear you're thinking of now. And the way the prayer works is we release both of those with physically. We did this the other week when I was here. We do that with each hand because there's something very powerful about using your body to do this. And then you think of a word of God, one of the qualities of God: love, joy, peace, power, harmony. What's another one I thought of? Love, joy, peace, intelligence, wisdom, and wholeness. And think of what is a word of God that we just so got was the truth of us, that it would make this issue just moot. And for me, it was wholeness at the time when I was first doing this. So I'd say I release my belief in not enough. I release my need to get approval. I am grateful God is the wholeness I am. And so it's simple words, and I'll tell you, when I said I released my need to get approval, I felt sick. Every fear came up. Oh, nobody's gonna like me anymore. No, it's just I released my need for it. Some of us have a fear of, well, I call it ignorance. And so we have a belief that people are stupid or ignorant, so we find ourselves correcting people all the time. You know, no, that's not how you pronounce that. I'm still healing from that. I'm recovering that. But the point is not how to create a fear to faith. The point is that in the fear to faith, the end of it, we say, I am grateful God is the truth I am, love I am, intelligence I am, if I'm thinking I'm stupid, the wholeness I am. And bring it in there. And my practitioner reminds me almost every time to do fear to faith. And part of me goes, oh, I know about fear to faith. I do them. But she says, no, you keep having, they heal layers, because what they do when we go to God in that way or in treatment, we are going beyond our minds, what we can figure out, and inviting that love in, to let God do the healing work. Because there are some things we can look at and say, I don't know how I can heal that, but boy, I can get busy. And I realized the other week, when I was looking at an issue and something I had done, fear to faith, some treatment on, that my mind was still hooked into finding a new strategy that would work better to get the thing I wanted, but I was still operating on top of the unhealed error belief. Does that make sense? And I said, oh my God, this is just another new strategy. It's another strategy. It's another way my mind, oh wait, we can fix it. We can fix it. And it's like the ads for, what is that, the drink? I could have had a V8, okay? I could have just stopped, dropped my thinking that Liz, if she's really smart, so she can figure this out, just let that go. And really invite God in. And for some of us, even if we give lip service to it, inviting really God in. And think of this, to have intimacy with God. And many of you have seen the little thing that some therapists say, intimacy, into me see. To have that, yeah, that's what intimacy is. Letting ourselves be seen by another is really letting God see into all of us, as if God can, but to acknowledge that and open to that. Then a healing can happen. Even in those areas we didn't think it could. I had, most of my life, I had a very contentious relationship with my dad. You know, later I understood because of his woundedness, he was very critical, very needy of approval, and but and there were just other things that I was embarrassed. Why couldn't I have a wise, cool dad? You know, he liked to think he was cool. He was very handsome and charming. But really embarrassing, did stupid things, was not as generous as he could have been, and just a lot. And so I would find, you know, little ways to dig at him and let him know that I didn't think he was okay. And, you know, as I got into this teaching and as I started getting the idea that really love was what I wanted more to express than being right about how my dad was not okay, that, you know, I changed my prayer, and I didn't even really pray seriously about this, but I was doing the work to be more love. And I remember one day sitting with him and just one of those thoughts that you know is not your thought because it doesn't sound like something you would say. It just said, you know, he probably doesn't have that many years left. Why don't you just love him? Why don't you just forget about the other stuff? And it sounds simple to say, but y'all know those people that you just had this with. And it just, I would say 95% went away. And it was lifted. I felt like it was lifted, that need to keep letting him know what he'd done that wasn't okay, and keep judging him and criticizing him. It just got lifted. And my husband and I spent the last 4 months of my dad's life living with him and helping take care of him. We had a caregiver, but helping take care of him. And I remember a friend said, your dad wouldn't want you to do that. And she knew me when I was like, you know, I know your relationship with your dad. Why would you do that to either of you? And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. A few things, but it was wonderful. But the point was that got lifted off me. I did not think my way, I did not affirm my way into having a better relationship with God. It was more through the prayer, I think, of expressing our love and growing into that. Almost more difficult was a relationship I had with an in-law who stylistically or temperamentally, whatever, we were very different. And so I just had difficulty with this person in the way that they showed up in the world. And they were married, of course, to a member of my family. And when a big challenge, like a life challenge, came up for this member of my family, the in-law got in the way of trying to get help for that member of my family. And so you can imagine, I had an issue with that. And I was so right about how wrong that person was. And I was in practitioner training at the time, so you can imagine I did a lot of work on forgiveness, read a lot of great stuff, and certainly softened to understand this person and why they might have reacted the way they did. And so things were better, and my family member is okay, so that's all good now. But I will never forget, there were still some yeah buts hanging on, that I was at a birthday party for this in-law and talking with a great friend, and we got to talking about the time of the great challenge with my family member, and I was starting to get on the, oh yeah, and this in-law did that and that, and the friend was saying how hard it was for the in-law, who was her friend, so that's, you know. And I was just like, just going back into that about how wrong this person was and how bad this person was and how just selfish or whatever. And the friend said, in my experience, all this person wants is to love and be loved. And I had a split second of and then all of a sudden, I just had this vision of like, lenses came off of how I've been seeing this person. And then like cards that are all set up that are going tick, 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 like that. Like every situation where I'd seen this person and judged through the original lenses, giving way to a different vision of this person being loved. And I started to cry. And I hadn't asked for that. I had, you know, done a major piece of forgiveness work, so I thought, you know, I did my part. But that just came out of nowhere. And I believe that that was love finally getting through and giving, because I mean, it was like one of those split seconds. And I heard about these, but nothing had happened anymore. Yeah, virtually every situation where I judge this person as coming from selfishness or whatever else, I saw in a different way. And again, it wasn't because I affirmed or thought myself into being or doing something different. It was because my prayer work was about being more love. I get knocked to my knees still about being more love when I see the places that I am not. And when I start to try to figure out, well, if I do this, then this will be better. It's like, no. I've been on that hamster wheel. I just want to go back to love. How? What's the right way to do it? Yes, stop it, Liz. Stop it, Liz. So, I guess that's my summing up of head and heart, is that we need that head to identify and make intentions about who and what we really want to be and have in our lives. And we learn the scales. You know, that's what you learn when you play the piano. You got to play the scales over and over and over and over. Not that I ever did, but I see that. The stuff that you think is boring, you learn that stuff. You learn the basics of right thinking, the steps of treatment, and how to identify what is not working in your life. And then, if you know how to, create a fear of faith. Just open up and say, love, come here. Love, come into this. Shift will happen. Let's pray. And so I am grateful to know that there is an infinite power and presence that is always ready. No matter how many times I fall prey to my own cleverness, my own good ideas that aren't really, my own selfishness, my own fears, that there is a power and presence that is love without limits, that stands ready to move into my being and transform my heart, transform my thinking, so that I may see with the eyes of truth and love that allow me to walk in the world undefended, free, loving and powerful. Not to cover over some fear, not to try to be enough, not to try to be the right way, not to try to be wise, but to open up to be more God, more love, more peace, more joy. And I know this is possible because I invite God in. And so I speak the word this day that all who join me in this prayer, that each day we find it easier to open up. We find it automatic to let that love move into us and transform everything. And let the grand and little shifts happen. I am so grateful for this growing knowing. And I send my word into the law where I know something is happening. I say yes, God. I say yes, love. And the law says, yes, my dear. And so it is.
All right. Drop the mic. See if I can do something right here.
Do they not have songs?
Okay. All right. We are back. Okay. So, now, more beautiful music from Cindy and Shane. So, please remember our center is supported by God. you to be a part of how God's support shows up. If you are on Facebook, please visit our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595. Let us take a moment for all who are still crafting. So, if you have a prayer request, please fill that out too. And we will be having Dave go around collecting the tithes and the prayer requests. And actually, before we do that, let's hold this prayer request to our hearts and do a quick prayer. I will just say it myself. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. So, now we will begin the offering. So now for this time, I just know that we are blessed, we are whole, and this center is divinely guided and empowered, and each person here is a perfect demonstration of the divine source in this divine body, on this divine planet, and all the space in between, and it is good. And I'm just so grateful that we're all here to enjoy it, to experience it, and just to be. And it is good. And I say, thank you, God. And so it is. All right. So, I want to thank everyone for joining us today and wishing everyone a week filled with joy, love, and true connection. So please stand and sing our closing song, I Release.